All right, buddy. I mean, I
Yeah,
think I have to honestly tell you the first real photo of you and Odette on for this movie, I was like, because in my family, the Kentucky Derby was and still is a yearly thing we watch every year in my family. And when I
that's like me.
saw that that's, and I saw you in the one interview say it, but before I even get started, because I want to make sure that I got this correctly, were you the executive producer on this one?
Yes, it was.
No, all right. Now you gotta give me the full details. How did this all come about with you getting the executive producer on this?
Well, you know, life is all timing, I guess. And I my best friend, one of my wife and my best friends, godmother to our children. She's from Kentucky, and
Mm-hmm.
her first cousin, is the CEO of Churchill Downs, and so we it was kind of an opportunity that he has always wanted to bring forward to us, and it just so happened that the timing was right. He asked Kelly to ask me if I wanted to do this, and we brought it to Hallmark, and here we are. It was a pretty fast yes from Hallmark as well.
That was what was going to be my next question. I mean, not only to do, because this is the first time I can remember a Homer doing something like this on such an iconic stage as the Kentucky Derby.
Well, they've done a lot of these partnerships over the past 2 years between the NFL and then the
Uh-huh.
Opry last year. And
Uh-huh.
so, they're venturing into these collaborations with iconic brands and buildings, and um yeah, so this was the first non-holiday movie, which was a really big deal that
Uh-huh.
they've done this with. Um Yeah, but yeah, this the look, it is arguably, it's not arguably, it is the most watched it live a live sporting events, the most watched live sporting event in the world. Close to
Uh-huh.
200,000 people that come there, 150,000 people that watch it live from Churchill Downs. So the building is so spectacular. I grew up watching the Derby with my dad, so it was really special for me to show up on set, and our trailers were parked right next to the racetrack, and we would show up on set at 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and the horses would be warming up, running around the track. So you'd hear them, you know kind of approaching, going
Oh my
like this,
God.
and the dew is just coming off the grass, and the sun is coming up, and you see the whole backdrop of Churchill Downs. And I would FaceTime my dad, and in the morning, and just show him,
Hmm.
uh and then, full circle, now the movie comes out, and my dad gets to watch the movie, that I've kind of walked him along, the whole experience. I've given him the whole experience, or shown him the whole experience, as I've experienced it myself.
I got the chills when I heard you say that in one of the interviews you did. I was like, oh my God. I started to tear up because it's like
Uh,
just the way of how you connected and then how all of this came about. And then you bring your dad. It's like really full circle.
it is full circle. Yeah, yeah.
All
He,
right.
yeah, it's a really real special moment, for my dad to say. He's like, "I'm so proud of you," and that's the only thing you want to hear, right, from your dad.
Of course. Of course. Now he can say my son was at Churchill Downs.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Ash. Let's
Hmm.
let's talk about him. What's he all about? What can we look forward to about learning and watching Ash in this one?
Well, on the topic of father-son relationships, Ash, on the other hand, he had a strained relationship with his dad, and it's a beautiful father son story of of them making amends with each other. Ash is a very proud guy. He is somebody who he gets what he wants. He goes after what he wants. And he has always wanted to do his own thing. He never wanted to be under the shadow of his father. He never wanted to be, make people feel like he was getting something served to him on a silver platter. So he left right when he could after going to, after going through architecture school. He left, went to Cincinnati, and started his own thing. And he loves to get involved. He's a philanthropic guy. He wants to do right. He wants to do right by the world. And um and so his dad, being this traditional, kind of like typical CEO business guy who is, known to be pretty difficult with his staff and the way he runs things. He never wanted to he never wanted to be a part of that. And so, um of course, as mothers do, my mom stepped in and was like, "Look, this is I've never seen your father I've never seen your father act this way or be stressed out the way he is, because one of the spires." Have you seen the screener at all, Donna? You didn't get a screener at all, eh? So
No.
so the one of the spires, and this is a testament to Churchill Downs and their support with us in this movie. They allowed us to do a CGI of damaging one of the spires, one of the historic, the
Yeah, yeah.
130-year-old um, towers. So my character, there's a storm that damages one of the spires. It's 2 weeks till Derby Day. My dad invites me to the house for dinner one night to basically lay this on me and says, "I need you. I need you. Can you be here for the family? Can you do this for me? I need you to, I need you to step up and help me solve this huge issue. I can't get this. I can't rely on anybody else to get the job
Mm.
done in time for Derby Day." I say, No, I don't want to do this. I think I'm very certain you can find somebody else in town, a local, who will want to do this.
Mm.
And my mom steps in and is like, "Look, this is something I haven't seen your father act like this ever." He's like, he's very stressed. I need you to, can you please just put your issues aside, and can you
Mm.
please just help him out? And so, with the guidance of my mom, or the, you know, the the with my mom's blessing, or,
I gotcha.
she gets me to agree to this. And so I yeah, the story's underway with me basically having to save Derby Day, and work the under my dad's kind of, watchful eye.
And Odette, I didn't even realize this is her first Hallmark movie.
Yeah, and lo and behold, because of my mom pushing me out of my comfort zone and making me do something I didn't want to do, I end up falling head over heels, love at first sight with this greenhouse worker. So this movie's we're taking little bits and pieces from Titanic, where the movie it revolves around the uncovering of this necklace, this like 100-year-old necklace that's been a family heirloom. It's gone missing, and we come across this necklace, and we're also dealing with the class structure, the class differences between myself, the CEO's son of Churchill Downs, and the greenhouse worker, who has been she comes from a long line of greenhouse of women that have worked in the greenhouse on Churchill Downs. Churchill Downs is like its own village. Basically, there's a backside where all the horse people live, the trainers and the people that take care of the horses. There's a school there. There's a grocery store there. There's apartment buildings. They all live there. And Churchill Downs also has their own greenhouse that they run, and they basically have to maintain the grounds. It's a weekly thing. Um,
Wow.
and so Sadie, Odette's character, works in the greenhouse. Her mother worked in the greenhouse. Her great grandmother worked in the greenhouse, and it was her great grandmother and my great uncle that fell in love back 100 years ago. But because of the differences in the class structure, my great uncle didn't have the balls to step up to his dad and say, I don't care what you think of me. I want to marry this girl. I want to marry her. But he he crumbled, and he basically, his father was like, you're not going to be my son if you do this. And so it's basically how the evolution of now, you know, fast forward to the current day, that these two people are have found each other, and Ash doesn't care. He goes after what he wants, and he is not going to let this girl, or not let the past affect. He's learning from the past. He learned from his uncle's mistake, and he is not going to let it affect him in how he wants to pursue Sadie.
I got that feeling when I saw the one preview clip that Hallmark has online.
Mm-hmm.
It's the part where you Ash asks Sadie, what are you doing? What are you doing here? What are you doing? A thief? And it's just I laughed because I can't wait to see it because it seems like there's such an awesome dynamic between Ash and Sadie. But I loved it because just by from what you said, I love it. It's like a multi-generational, it's a different twist to a Hallmark
It
movie.
it's exactly that. It's a multi-generational love story about two people. Like, in short, it's a multi-generational love story about two people, two unlikely people that meet each other despite coming from two completely different worlds. These two people they're not supposed to be. They weren't supposed to meet this way, but when you fall in love, it's you never know how or when it'll happen, but when it happens, it happens. And so Ash is also somebody that he's living his dream. He is very happy with where he is in life. He doesn't want to come back home and work with his dad. Whereas Sadie is trying to break out of this the expectations that her mother has for her to just follow suit, be work for this work at the greenhouse like she did, like her great grandmother did. And Sadie wants more in life, and so she is on this journey, and she's not planning on falling in love. She wasn't planning on meeting somebody like Ash. And so it's kind of like a bump in the road for her, but which makes Ash have to work harder.
Mhm. And that's what I loved. Like I told you, just by that one scene, because I'm like, she's definitely. It's like, don't come near me. Do not come near me.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not in the mood for you. But it's like,
No, no, yeah.
but I have. To, I mean, I sent her a message of that. I said, for your first Hallmark movie, you couldn't have gotten a better lead male, to lead you
Oh,
on this adventure.
thank you, Donna. Thank you.
No, you're
I
welcome.
feel I feel the same way though. Honestly, Odette, I know that Hallmark has been trying to hire her for a while. When her name came up, I said, "Oh, this would be a huge win for us if we can get Odette."
Mm.
And I think when this movie airs, people are really going to love Odette's performance and her as a person. She's very easy to fall in love with. And that's beside how gorgeous she is, but she's gorgeous on the inside just as much as she is on the outside. And she was, our first scene together, which when you see the movie, um, was more than halfway through the movie when we're very comfortable with each other, but we're starting to be honest and come clean with, like, I have this big kind of speech with her at the bar. We're in a speakeasy, which is so cool because Churchill Downs has 3 speakeasies in on the property that you have to, the way you get in is there's like a portrait on the wall and you have to like press the horse's hoof, and then this cabinet door like automatically unlocks and you walk in, and it's this
Wow.
beautiful leather mahogany, you know, 80-year-old bar with a bartender with a curled mustache, like a typical mixologist is back there making you the best old fashions and like mint juleps and stuff. But we are in this we're in this speakeasy, and I'm telling her that I never wanted to work for my father, and I've had a kind of a strained relationship with him, and I'm just being honest with her, um and we are very much I am very much falling in love with her. And the scene, there's such a huge scene, and it basically goes to us from the bar to the dance floor. And then there's this turn. I won't ruin it for you, but there's this turn in the scene. And
Mm.
if Odette wasn't who she was, it would have been a very difficult scene to pull off on day one. It was not something that, not a scene that I would have chosen for myself on day one on set.
Wow. I guess, it leads me into my next, question I wanted to ask you. Did you guys get a chance to kind of experience the whole Kentucky Derby mint julep, experience? I know I saw you dress up to the nines for the one.
We will. We will in 2 weeks.
I know, and that's the other thing. It didn't connect at first, and I'm like, this is so cool. It's premiering on the day of the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, the evening. Yeah, so it's 8 o'clock on Derby Day, and then next day on Hallmark Plus, like they do with these movies. But no, I mean it's gonna be it's gonna be a big weekend. We have a bunch of parties and kind of red carpet things we're doing at Derby, the day before Derby. And my
Mhm.
wife is coming as well, which I'm really excited about. And my wife is
Oh,
best friends with Kelly, who's the reason why we're doing this movie. Kelly, our really close girlfriend, and so we're gonna have a great time. And Odette has never seen Derby, the has never seen Churchill Downs with all the people there.
oh my goodness.
And Churchill Downs is like this is one of the stars of the show. I mean, it's the whole movie revolves around this place. We shot in every nook and cranny of Churchill Downs at many different times of the day, at 2 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and at times that people have never seen that building. And
Mm.
there's the magic never leaves. It's so beautiful. It's such uh, a an unreal, you know, an unreal place. It's got a vibe to it.
Yeah, it's got to be such an experience to be in that place where there's so much history for so long with
I
these
know.
races.
Oh yeah. And like, I wanted to dig into a little bit more about the history and like what was, when was it built? What were the different phases that it went through? And it's really interesting. And so it opened in 1875 is when the first race happened. And it was a black man who won the race, who was the jockey that won the first race in Churchill Downs. And then in
Mhm.
1895, there was this guy named Joseph Dominic Valdez, who was the architect who built the spires and basically put himself on the map by building these 2 spires, because it was basically overnight that it became recognizable. Because if you see the outline, if you just see somebody draw the outline of Churchill Downs,
Mhm.
you can recognize the building, just like, Fenway Park, Green
Yeah.
Monster, the wall, or like Wrigley Field with the ivy wall. If you see a picture of it, you're like, oh, that's Wrigley Field. So it immediately he got, recognition, and it became a recognizable fixture in American sport after he did this. And now, Churchill Downs is what it is, and they're still building phases onto it. It's still growing. They're trying to fit close to 200,000 people in there ultimately, because there's like going to be the middle of the racetrack. There's all this untouched area where people will stand
Hmm.
and watch the race. But if it rains, it gets super
Yeah.
muddy in that area. They call it the Mud Bowl. But they're gonna build some grandstands in there at some point too. So
It seems like it really was an experience for you. And for me, I'm like, as you're talking, probably like in between, like when you guys would have time to sleep, and even like in between sets or whatever, it had to be so calming hearing the horses and just being around that whole atmosphere.
I love horses.
Mm.
I could spend my lunch hour on horseback. You too, Donna?
Oh, I've horseback since I was 5 years old when I first
Really?
learned. Yeah, they're
Wow.
they're very. I have to say they're very calming animals, but they
Hmm.
will check you if you're not like totally,
Oh
centered.
yeah. That right there is something that I learned when I was in my early 30s.
Hmm.
I did a series when I was 18 years old on horseback. I mean, it's one thing. I feel like it's kind of like skiing in a way, where it's like a sport where if you don't do it when you're younger, you kind of get a little. You're not you're not that comfortable. You need to. You're a little bit more weary of being injured. But I did a series when I was 18 years old, and I was on horseback for 6 months. And myself and the horse did not get each other. I was just like, I was anxious coming to work, and I was like, damn it, I got to be on this freaking horse's back again all day today. By the end, I got a little more comfortable, but I wasn't on a horseback for around 15 years after that. And then I booked this Western that shot in the Yukon, and it
Okay.
was a Canadian Western called The Way of the West. And I did 2 weeks of horseback training with a horse wrangler in the Yukon. This
Wow.
girl that was in her late 20s, and she rode bareback, and she taught me all of these tricks. She's like, if you feel tense, breathe breathe in and then release. And a second later, the horse will go, it'll mirror you. And I didn't really think, I'm like, you look at a horse, I didn't really think much of horses. I was like, oh, they're beautiful animals and whatever, whatever. But I'm not, I don't care if I get on a horseback again. But when you see a fly landing on its haunch, and then it just shakes that area, how sensitive they are. Every part of their body, they're so sensitive to touch and to feeling. And exactly what you said, I didn't know that. I didn't know that horses could read anxiety, could feel anxiety from a person being on its horseback. And so I did that movie. I became very comfortable on a horseback after that movie. And then I shot two more Westerns back to back in Arizona. And
Mhm.
I rode with another guy there who was an incredible horse wrangler. And we would go and open up the horses at lunch and just like run across the the desert in Arizona. And that was it for me. I was like, I could be on a horseback. I would, and so I had my bachelor party in Tombstone, Arizona. I brought a
Oh my
bunch of
God, no way.
Yeah, I brought a bunch of my buddies out from Montreal, 11 of them. They weren't very happy with me because they had to be on horseback for 3 days, never getting on a horse before. Like most of them had never been on a horse before. And we
Oh my
rode for
God.
3 days straight through the Cochise Mountain Range, where Geronimo held off the cavalry
Yeah.
back in the Reservation Act, time of the Reservation Act. And we saw hieroglyphics, and we had a pack horse with a bunch of beer and whiskey, and we had a great time. But none of them could walk for like a week after.
You were probably on the hit list after that.
Yeah, yeah, it was. Toughen up,
Uh,
boys. Toughen up.
yeah. I mean, like I told you, I learned from a very young age, and I had one experience where, yeah, the horse taught me chill. If not, I'm gonna tell you, you need to chill.
Yeah.
But with this movie, I know you mentioned a few of favorite moments, but is there another favorite moment that you have from filming this? Could be movie related or behind the scenes.
Yeah, I want to call out the supporting cast, like Greg Henry, who played my dad. The guy's been around the block. He's incredibly talented actor. I didn't know that we were going to get him. He was like, we were so fortunate. It was a gap in his schedule that he was able to do this movie. So one of my favorite moments is honestly every time I got a chance to work with Greg, it was just such an enlightening moment. It was like one of those actor moments where you're like, I get to play with a real legend here, So that was great. But one of my favorite moments in the movie is we were our first real meet cute in the movie, Odette and I, and we get pushed from our friends to go and talk to each other, and that was a really fun scene. We were in the bar and we're just like, I'm like, no, I'm not going to talk to her. I'm not going to go talk to her. And then my friend is like pushing me, and I'm like, fine, all right, fine, 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 fine. I'm going, fine. And then we go um, and just where that scene goes was it's just, it was, it's unassuming. You don't really think it's going to go where it goes, but it's a beautiful scene. It's real, nice arc to it. And um, so yeah, those are kind of a couple moments. And one day I got to get on my horse and take. They're like Andrew, show us what you got on the back of this horse. So I did. I think the scene is cut out of the movie though, but I got to like jump on the back of my horse and ride off. This movie, I would hate to be an editor working on this movie because we shot a feature length film of a movie. There's two storylines. There's a 1930 storyline and there's a current present day storyline.
Uh-huh.
And we could have cut together a 2.5 hour movie from all the footage they had. And the previous edits that I saw, there was 1930s was probably 40% of the movie. 40, it was like a 40-60 split.
Uh-huh.
The acting was great. The storyline is so beautiful, but it does take you away from our love story moving along in the current day.
Yeah.
So they had to chop so much away, and me riding off on a horse is kind of like the first thing that was going to be cut, because what's the point of that? Um, they want to move the story along. Moving, like, me riding off on a horse is not really moving the story along in any which way. So I understand why they did, but there was a lot that they had to restructure through the different phases of editing this movie. So yeah,
I wouldn't have wanted their job. Mm-mm.
that's it. No, I would not.
No.
No. The person who really should get credit for this is Jess Callahan, who's the head of non-Christmas over at Hallmark, and she did an amazing job. Her and Sam DePeppo at restructuring the story the way they did, because it was difficult when we saw the movie, and for them to make the executive decision to cut so much beautiful scenery and so much, of this beautiful storyline. But I think they're going to cut something together though from the 1930s stuff to kind of show people a little more of the history of, or the backstory, of that of that of our lineage.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like that part that we don't see, obviously, as the viewers, how much work it goes into. I mean, you guys do the meat of it, the dialogue, doing the scenes. And then it's like an all hands on deck. Everybody's got to edit it, put the music to it, do the ADR to it, all of it. So that part really, I love hearing about it because it really is. It's multifaceted. There's so many people involved.
Yeah, and the original score, I was on score calls. The original score is beautiful, and how much that could change the movie is surprising. Like if putting the right score to the movie is just as important as finding, that arc or that through line to the story, and keeping the storyline moving as well, where people are interested in, and the hooks and the that hook at the end of the scene that's going to make people want to come back after commercial break. The button, like all these elements are just so important, and it and that's what Hallmark does so well. And the movie also, it's one of their tent pole movies, they call it. So we had a little bit more money to spend on the movie, and you'll see it's a I mean, I think the trailer you saw, I think you could already see it's like a little bit more cinematic, right?
Most definitely. And I think too, I mean, obviously, like I told you, when I first saw that there was even a thought of a movie to be put on, of this caliber. And then I laughed because I think it was you in Churchill Downs with your, the whole dressed up to the nines. I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be the best. And now hearing it, I mean, I can't wait to see it. It seems like it was such an experience for you, which I love.
It was such an incredible experience, Donna. I feel so blessed, honored that I got to do this with the people that I got to do it with. It was the A-list team that Hallmark put together for us. Claire Niederprun, the director. We had our creative producer was Samantha Sprecher. She's worked with Billy uh, Crystal for years, for like 25 years. She was
Oh
his
wow.
partner. The DP Lars was super, super talented guy. Um, there was just so many great people that we got to work with on this, and of course, like having Odette as my scene partner in all of in this movie was such a huge win for us, and really, I can't express how much I enjoyed working with her.
All right, buddy. We got Kentucky Roses coming out on May 2nd, the day of the Derby. You got
Yes.
to, I know this is probably going to be like the $10 million question because I know you always got something going on, but do we have another one hopefully in the works, another movie or two?
There is nothing in the works right now, actually, funny enough.
Huh?
But I did get asked potentially to do. I know I have a Christmas movie coming up as my next movie that I'm shooting.
Yeah.
So and I don't know any details of it yet, though.
I don't see you ever stopping. But right now, I'm glad you have a small window of getting a chance to rest because you made me tired watching your adventures in New York.
Thank you, Donna. My kids are happy as well, but I don't really stop. I still have my skincare brand that I'm doing, and that's keeping me really busy. And I've been focusing on the most important job right now, which is being a dad.
That was my next thing. How are my kiddos doing?
They're doing great. They're doing better than great. They're just busy with sports, hockey. I coach my son's flag football team. We are trying to get maybe one more day in on the ski hills before they're shut down for the year. But no, they're doing amazing.
I see pictures and like videos that you post. I'm like, oh my God, they're getting so big so fast. I feel like I've watched them
No,
grow
they are.
up.
Yeah, yeah. They're growing up so fast. I
And how
picked my
is your
6-year-old up today, and he's like half my body, and I'm like, oh, jeez.
I'm like, I don't remember growing up this fast. My nephew, it was like, sing. He was like here at the age, I'm like, what in the world? I don't remember growing this fast.
I know,
And how is
right?
your
It's in the,
beautiful
it's in the water, I guess. I don't know what it is.
true?
Yeah.
And how's your beautiful better half?
She is doing holding down the fort, doing what she does. She's amazing. And yeah, she's going to come to Derby with me, so I'm happy I get to share this with her. Um yeah, she's doing great though.
Thank you 100 times over because I'm still using your skincare brand and I love it.
Oh, great, Donna. Thank you so much for supporting and using it. I'm so happy you like it.
It is.
We're
You,
we're we're constantly evolving. Like we're always looking at our formulas and tweaking things here and there. And like our eye cream that we launched not too long ago, we just added another peptide to it to make it. It's interesting. Like skincare, it's like technology. It's crazy. The technology behind it, or the science behind it, is constantly evolving. And fortunately, I just feel so fortunate. My partner's a doctor, so we can make these tweaks as we go and kind of get like years ahead of what the curve is. And a lot of the time, like we're taking some really great stuff out of South Korea, the Korean brands, like Korean skincare brands. They're cutting edge. And my partner he nerds out on this. He was like an MIT lab guy who sat on the bench there for 3 years. And so he just takes pride, and he's in looking at our products and going, okay, is it the best that it can be? And so we're 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 just trying to continuously improve and give people the best skin they can possibly have, so they feel their
when you
best.
got, it's a good thing. Trust me, because there was a lot of things that I tried other stuff, and it wasn't until I tried yours. Mm, two thumbs up.
Oh, thank you, Donna. Thank you.
Two thumbs up. Congrats, buddy. I am
Thank you.
so excited to see this one, and I'm so happy of all the good stuff happening for you. I love you to pieces and enjoy this time of rest.
I really appreciate it, Donna. Thank you so much, and thank you for being patient with me as was. I went so dark. It was, I kind of got a little overwhelming with like the holidays when we do the
Yeah.
cruises and everything, and it was just like I was so full on. And then when January hit, I was like, I gotta just take a minute off phones and messages, and I went dark on Instagram, and like, so now I'm back. But yeah, thank you for being patient with me.
Let me tell you something, buddy. I told you this. You've known me now for a couple of years now. I will always be flexible, and truly, I understand when you have to go time out and
Thank
take
you.
that breather. And I truly understand, but you enjoy. This is going to be a fun one when it
Thank
premieres.
you very much. I can't wait for you to see it with your family too. With like,
Yes.
this is really an exclusive behind the scenes to a lot of places in Churchill Downs as well. You're going to see a lot of places you never thought existed there.
Very, very cool. Well, you enjoy. You give those beautiful kiddos a hug and
Will
your
do.
beautiful other half. And I love you, buddy. Enjoy and
Thanks so
congrats
much,
again.
Donna. Lots of
Take
love
care.
to you.
I'll see
Okay. Thanks
you
again. Bye
soon.
bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.